gentlemen, your host for tonight's show.
Here, I'll break it over your head.
Ladies and gentlemen,
You're a real crumb bum.
See, these guys are all the same.
With filthy mouths and bad attitudes.
The Crumb Show.
I got terrible luck with things. I think I'm being funny, and next thing you know, we're frying computers.
Yeah. So we'll just start like that.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we have Mr. Ronan Mayock, esteemed comedian and event coordinator, right?
Event manager.
Event manager. Titles are important. You got to get them right. Appreciate
just
that.
Because there is an actual event coordinator position, and they are way higher than me in the totem pole, and I'm like, I'm not that.
Right. But we know.
Coming on,
yeah, man. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Making the trek down. But we know Ronan from Open Mic up at Soul Joel's. Yeah. He pops in after he's done doing his daily duties. I guess you clock out. That's what you seem like a good employee. That's what a good employee would do. Right. Clock out first. But yeah, Ronan comes up and he kills it. And he does a lot of shows, man. I always see your name popping up, and I love to see it. You know, it's like we're like a little group of buddies. Like we all just farting around doing this comedy. And every time I see anybody getting a real show, I'm like, yes, awesome. That's perfect. That's what we're doing this for. And I say, and right out the gate, we'll just promote your two shows, and then you promote your socials. But December 22nd, Soul Joel's, Ronan is hosting another dirty show with Brendan Donegan, who's hilarious. And then I love this, it's 3 more open micers, regulars at Soul Joel's. Karen Schwartz, we just had her on last week. Rashid Wesley Jr. and Walker Britt. So love to see it. And then the very next day, you're hosting for, who is it?
Anthony Moore.
Anthony Moore at the Robin's Nest, December 23rd in Mount Holly, New Jersey. So, yeah, man, it's great. I love seeing it. Like, well, let's get into your story first. But I do love seeing you doing all these shows in Mount Holly, New Jersey, you know, expanding. But you're like nationwide, bro. Like, we'll get into your story. You went to film school, right?
Yes, okay. I went to Ithaca College in upstate New York, a film major. But like really while I was up there, I like was interested in like just everything, like, you know, whether it was like television or comedy or like live events. I joined the school's like television department that's like all student run, and I joined one of the TV show, like a comedy TV show that was there.
That's cool.
It was like a late night comedy show. I was the one of the first people that they hired, and they kept me the entire time that I was there for the rest of school.
Okay.
I was also the only cast member and writer for the show. Like I was the one person that crossed the divide.
Right.
And then, and so, like, I was sort of interested. That's when I started really getting interested in comedy specifically. And then 2 summers later, I'm, like, trying to find something to do during the summertime. And I'm like, hey, Soul Joel Richardson, like, can you let a 22-year-old loser, like, come help it in your comedy tent?
Right.
And he did. I helped him out, like, you know, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays.
Down in Royersford, right?
Down in Royersford.
Okay.
During the summertime, which was like peak dome season.
Right, yeah.
And yeah, like I did like 2 open mics the entire time I was there. Both of them were like my first 1 and 2 open mics, but both of them were shit.
Oh, they were your first 2 open mics were at Soul Joel's?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That was my next question. That's awesome. That's really cool.
And then I took a big break from it. And then there was like a stand-up club at my school. But even then, like, I didn't go to any of the open mics. I did like 1 show at the end of the semester. But then like that was like it. And then I guess I'm gonna keep fucking going.
Yeah, man. Let's hear it. Let's hear the origin story.
I'm allowed to curse, right?
Yeah.
All right. Fuck yeah. Then they had a Los Angeles program at my school. Okay. All of a sudden, I'm finding myself. I'm interning at Flappers Comedy Club, and restaurant in Burbank, California.
That's awesome.
Where I get to get me more hours. My supervisor was like, hey, or you could take a stand-up class.
Okay.
And on the house, and then there's like a workshop or like a showcase at the end of the time, and you and everybody else is gonna perform. And when I had that showcase, it felt right. Like I felt like something click with me on stage. I was like, I want to keep doing this and trying to pursue this.
It's like a little boost of a drug.
Yeah, dude, straight into the vein.
Burbank,
man.
California. That's where. What game show?
All of them.
All of them,
I
right?
think, right?
Yeah, all the game shows are like that's like.
All the studios are there.
Right,
like
right.
Ellen was there. Everything's in Burbank.
Who did you bump into at Flappers Comedy Club? Any big names?
Yeah, the Wayans brothers.
No shit.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay.
They have 3 rooms in Flappers. There's like a really small bar room that fits about like maybe like 25 people, and then there's like a medium-sized room that can fit 50, and then their main room can fit like 200-300 people.
Wow.
And I was working in that medium room, that 50-person room, and all of a sudden during one of the shows, like it's like, oh, we have a special celebrity drop-in, and we're like in this small ass room, like
Right.
what?
Yeah.
What celebrity's gonna stop by? And both the Wayans brothers, Marlon and Sean Wayans, I think.
Okay.
They each did 10 minutes just randomly, and we were all like, what the hell? Why
That's
are you
cool.
here?
That's great.
Nice.
That's
Yeah.
funny as shit. But you never know. In California, they're like right there.
Yeah.
Who's gonna stop it? I'm sure like they weren't the only ones, right?
Yeah, they were. I mean, what I've heard is that they really like dropping into smaller shows because, like, if you can do it in a small show, you can do it in a big
hell yeah.
room. And so they just loved like stopping by like little places with little crowds,
Right.
and like doing those. So that was like the really one like big group of people who I came in contact with while I was there.
Okay.
I've working for Joel. I've arguably met way more
Right.
people. I will say the one of the funniest shows I went to, just as a customer, which I don't get to do that often, was in LA too, at this place called Jam in the Van.
I heard of that. Kim
Yeah.
Congdon's doing something with that. Or Pauly Shore too, I think. Sorry, go ahead.
Sarah Silverman is there all the time. This guy Craig Conant, who Soul Joel's had a little bit ago, was there, and it was the best for like a college kid because we had friends who were working there, and they would give us free entry into the show. That was like a $40 ticket. The reason it was $40 was because there was an open bar. So suddenly we're we're silly college kids like, oh yeah, we're gonna see free comedy and get free drinks, and
man.
we're gonna get fucked up.
I'm 50 years old, and that gets me hard.
Who'd you see there?
Oh my god, yeah. So I saw Craig Conant, Sarah Silverman.
You just said all that.
I did say that. No. But like there's some other people too. Audrey Stewart. She's she's like a young woman who just does all this like crowd work. She's bisexual, has this like raspy voice. And I was sitting in the front row, and she just went in on me. She just like
shit.
kept, and like I'm the best kind of person to do crowd work with because I'm a good sport, and I know not to say too much, just respond to the questions.
Right.
And so she just like she was like, I'm having too much fun with this guy. I'm gonna keep talking to him.
Awesome.
And
Awesome.
that was so much fun.
That sounds like a good time.
Yeah, and they were just like, I'm doing this shit. That's what I'm gonna do.
She did.
Yeah.
She did 10 minutes of crowd work and then got off the stage. Like that. Like it was a
Okay.
showcase show, so it was like 6
okay.
different comedians all doing like 10 minutes.
Right.
And she got onto the stage, talked to me for basically 9 out of those 10 minutes, and got off the stage. I was like, why can't all shows be like this? I love this.
Luckily, you were there. She wouldn't have had a show if you weren't there. 1 minute of material.
Sometimes we have like, you know, because the open mic it's 5 minutes, and we don't want like not too many people do crowd work. Sometimes, but some of it's not on purpose, and then somehow there's like banter and
Yeah.
It's usually somebody in the audience that's already like on the list is like, I'm gonna make this joke funnier for you.
Yeah.
And then it just sort of throws people off who have never dealt with that
I think
before.
we talked about this a long. It was probably a long time ago. How like you said, you know when to say stop with the thing and not make it. Oh, now because like if you get too much banter between them, then they think they're part of the show now, and they're having fun, and then you gotta be like, just nip that shit in the bud right away. I don't do crowd work though.
Right.
The extent of my crowd work is asking a older gentleman in the front row of one of my shows if he would date a woman who's 67 years older than him. And usually they'll say something like, nah, she'd probably be dead. And I would say, well, you look like somebody who I have to ask about that. And it's not even crowd work at that point. It's just... it's
just funny.
Planned just material.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll make... I want to try doing crowd work stuff at some point.
Well, I think it's all planned material to a point.
But yeah, because I feel like what the new like strategy of crowd work is like, oh, I have material about this that I'm about to say, but I want to farm some clips. I want to get some clips for my social media before I get into that.
Yeah.
And so let me talk to the audience, and they'll have questions planned already. One of them I've seen a lot is like, how did you propose? Like if there's a couple there, like how did you propose? Because at the Samuel Comroe show, literally this week on Thursday, this past Thursday, he was like, how did you propose? And this one person said, yeah, I just did it while watching Lord of the Rings.
Oh, shit. Well, you know what? I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it. Lord of the Rings, if he kind of planned it like around... I never watched it. Well, I did watch the first one, but I don't know like the whole shit. But I guess if you planned it around when the ring was exposed or some shit, like it might be pretty cool.
It's like 11 hours worth of shit.
There was no ring, though. That was the crazy thing. You're watching Lord of the Rings with no ring. This was this person is a real person that exists, like and
He
so
didn't
like
have a ring though.
Oh, he
Proposed, but no ring during the Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings?
What we
Fumbled the
doing?
bag, baby.
Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah.
insane. But like it's questions like those, like how did you propose, and like what's another one? What bad tattoos do you have, and what's the story behind them? Like that gives so much like leeway for the crowd to just say something absolutely absurd and to just run with it.
Yeah,
because people are wild, people are crazy, people are nuts.
Yeah, definitely. And if they have that in them and they get their chance, they are willing to say whatever. People are fucking nuts, dude.
Yeah, but I think it's genuinely like. When the comedian like comes to talk to you, something in your brain is like, I have to share my whole life story.
Yeah, I'm on.
You're gonna hear about how I lost my virginity in detail. Like,
Yep. That's true. We're gonna reenact it right now.
That's why, like, I hate to roast some people, like when I'm hosting, but like they'll, like I get it, they got the balls to get up there, but like a lot of times when they'll just get up there and like, yeah, my best friend OD'd on heroin, and I'm probably gonna OD on heroin, and like they'll just like, you know, like you're like, dude, are you like, it happens.
They say you could find the funny in anything, but
I guess,
I
but
don't
like
know, that's a little.
And that's where I'm.
You have to
just
dig
like,
deep on that
God.
one.
I'm like, this is just. Not, I'm like, these people just needed somebody to talk to, and we are those people. So I'll just let them.
Yeah, it's true.
And the sad truth is that, like, yeah, you know what's funny? I bet if therapy was like a medical coverage, or like you could get free therapy, open mics would have a lot less people.
Yeah, right.
No bullshit.
Like, as somebody who has gone to therapy, I go to open mics and I'm like, man, a lot of you, if you just had a little bit more money than you do now, could just like go to therapy and you don't have to keep doing this.
Yeah, right. I've heard people say like, I really don't have too much jokes, so I'm just gonna say this, and like it's kind of just therapy. And then I just go on a little rant for a minute.
And like, if it makes them feel better,
Yeah.
awesome. Good,
Yeah, yeah.
for you. I just think that a trained professional is probably better than a microphone and a crowd of comedians.
Other people that need therapy.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, working up at Soul Joe's, being the event manager and a host. Ronan hosts a lot of shows up there. Are bumping into these comics now? Is it just like another day at work, or is there anybody that you're still like, holy shit? Like, I would think like a David Tell, like that's going to get everybody, but anybody else that gets you like, oh shit?
Like it's hard because I definitely feel like I'm like I don't know how to describe it, but like I'm new wave comedy in the fact that like I don't actually watch like a whole lot of specials just because I see so much like stand up while I'm at work anyway.
Right.
Everything I see is just like social media clips. And so people who are like really good at those clips are like people who I like am pretty big fans of. And so people like Jessica Curson or this other guy who I got to host for, which was crazy, his name's John Marco Cerezi.
Oh yeah, I heard of him.
And then there's a Matteo Lane too. He's a
Matteo's
gay
hilarious.
guy.
Yeah.
It's guys like I haven't met Matteo Lane, but I met the other two.
Okay.
And like I'm very professional, but like when I'm meeting them, I'm like, oh my god, like I saw you here and now you're here.
Yeah. I dig it. The first time I ever like kind of bumped into anybody up there, I was at it was Royersford. Well, the first time I went there, my wife was like, "There's Big J right there," and I looked, and he was literally like 10 feet away, but he was talking like kind of leaning over. I think he was talking to Lewis in a car, and I was like, "Well, I'm not going to be that guy to go over and just start talking." So then, another show like a couple weeks later, I think it was Ari. It was Ari and Joel walked by, and then they walked away, and 2 minutes later, Ari or Mark Norman and Joel came up, and Joel kind of left Mark looking at the crowd and the dome and shit, and he walked away to do something. So I walked over to Norman, and he was just like, "Hey, what's up?" And then I fisted him, and I was like, "That's fucking crazy." And it was the same thing. Like, I was just watching you today on my phone, and now you're like here fisting me. That was pretty cool.
Dude, Mark Norman was fisting me right by the train tracks. It was hot.
Yeah. Yeah.
The two other names that I also just thought of are like people who I were like, oh, I really admire you, and now I'm meeting you. Are like April Macy and Drew Lynch, like America's Got Talent's Drew Lynch.
Okay.
Joel let me do. He was here this 2 Saturdays ago,
right?
And Joel let me do 5 minutes to start that show.
Sweet.
With like 500 people in the ballroom.
That's awesome.
And I was like, first of all, this is crazy that we're like the show's over and I'm hanging out. But second of all, I just did my biggest crowd I've ever done before, and will be like I sort of like an imposter syndrome sort of thing, but like also like this is really cool.
Right. Yeah, I've heard that. The imposter syndrome. That's cool though. It's awesome, man. How was the? What are the laughs like of that many people? We'll never see that. So tell us what it's like.
We want to just live vicariously through you.
It sounded. When I got my first big laugh, I was like, "Wow, this sounds like a laugh track, like that you would see in a
sitcom."
It's like a sitcom or like somebody's special on Netflix.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Like it. There's no like rogue laughs like it like an Alan Hill laugh in the crowd. It's just like this sort of laughter, and then it goes away. Like you can't pick out. It was wild, dude.
I need Alan Hill in all my audience.
Yeah. Shout out Alan. Alan's great, huge comedy fan, and he gets it. So even if it's not funny to everybody, Alan knows comedy enough that he gets it. You know what I mean?
it's so fun to make him laugh. It's
Yeah,
like
it's great.
It's like, this is why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Not to make anybody else laugh, but Alan.
But
Hill.
Alan,
if
yeah.
if there's a day I can't make Alan Hill laugh, then I should quit comedy because
Right.
like, you can't do
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, Al's been to, like, when I first, like, look back, I don't know, it might have been on a different platform that you could buy the tickets to Joel's shows, like whatever he had before he has now. I forget what it was called, but I think you could go back and look at all the shows that you were at. And I was like, man, I've been to a ton of shows up there. I was like, and I liked having like a little tally of everybody I seen. Then I met Alan, and I was like, that list you had that you thought you seen a lot of comics? No, bruh. Alan is the mayor of Soul. They call him the mayor of Soul Joes for a reason.
Been to like every show.
And he has the personality of a mayor too. Honestly, if you want to think about it, he does. He may not. The behind the scenes shit's probably not his style, but kissing babies and shaking hands,
Oh yeah,
that's Alan.
Wow. Yeah, Alan's the man.
Yeah.
This is the first time I'm like saying this, but like Alan lives, I think, at his mom's house in Lancaster.
I don't think he does.
He does?
I don't think so.
Can we edit this in post? Where does he live then? Does he live with a roommate?
I don't know.
I know he lives.
I know he lives in
He
Lancaster.
lives in Lancaster, but I don't
It's
think.
tough for him to get to Soul Joel's. Like,
Yeah. And Joel lives in his sister's basement still. I think they should get a room. Maybe not fuck, but like maybe not that part.
Just get a room.
But
That's
you
a
both
sitcom
already
waiting to
live-
happen. Alan and Joel living together.
Both already live at Soul Joel's. Just like move into the attic or something. I
Yeah,
don't know.
apartment upstairs. 2 apartments upstairs. Boom. Share a kitchen and a living room.
Joel said at some point he wants to put a hotel up behind.
Yeah, I've heard him say
Sunnybrook.
that. A little boutique
And,
hotel.
Like
Sweet.
it could be like the sweet life of Zach and Cody. Like he's like living in the hotel permanently.
Yeah.
It's a little before. I know. It's sad that I know what he's talking about, though. I got the reference. Did you get the reference?
Well, I have younger kids,
Okay.
so we're older kids, so
Yeah, I was nervous that neither of you guys weren't gonna get that reference,
Yeah.
and I would have.
I had nephews and nieces that watched whatever that was.
I kind of get.
Anyway,
I get in this with my wife because she doesn't understand how I know like 50s and 60s references and stuff like that. But it's from television, number one. So I understand all the shit. Like I get all the references and know all the shows from before I was born, then when I was a kid, and then I was a young dad. So I was watching in my early 20s. I was watching SpongeBob and all that stuff. And then 10 years later, I have more young kids. So I watched SpongeBob again, but then all the dumb shit that was out when they were little.
How old are those kids now?
Well, my oldest son is 29, and then I have an 18 and a 15-year-old.
Okay.
So like I kind of like now when it's like Paw Patrol, like I don't know nothing about that. I'd have to get like if I knew anything about that, you guys should have to be.
that
concerned.
my kid was Paw Patrol.
Yeah, see, like
Yeah.
my kids aren't that age.
Because she's 9.
Yeah.
So, and then my niece and my nephew's like 21, damn near, and my niece is like 15. So, and we had Jerry and Lily. So I saw all those cartoons
Yeah,
here, there,
yeah.
and everywhere.
That's true.
I knew all the references. And in the 50s and 60s, you're like, we're damn near 50 years old, so him closer than me, but we're gonna go.
How old are both of you?
I'm 47.
I'm 49.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm embracing it. I'm not gonna be disgruntled or nothing. I'm 49.
So we're old.
Yeah.
So we know all the old shit from the reruns when we were because back in the day, think about it. Long story short,
Don't be telling everybody how old we are. You're fucking with our Riz, son.
that's all right. You got
All right, that's
judging
enough.
by the
I'll
race
handle
war
the
going on
interview.
in your.
Don't steal my jokes, and I'll handle the interview. Thank you very much.
But no, seriously, back in the day when we were growing up, even cable, even if you had cable, you only had a few more channels but we had 3, 6, 10, 12, 17, 29, 57. That's it. Maybe some weird ass channel. That
If
had-
you're really old from
Channel
around
48.
here, you had 48.
Channel
for a
48.
minute.
Channel 48 was like the hardcore like rerun channel. But
No,
anyway,
before that, the 48 you're talking about that came back in like the mid 80s, it was on in the late 70s, early 80s as like a channel 29, 57 type of deal. Don't Google it and give me
I'm not
any
gonna
shit, but
Google it. Well, because
that is what it is.
well, when I up until I moved to Norristown, I had cable, and I had this box. It was like a box like this long.
Yeah, where you
with
flipped.
and it was a wire connected to the TV. Here you flip the channel on the one side, and like then there was buttons you push. It was fucking great. And then you had to actually get up and do shit. It was like controllers and shit.
Ronan, as much as Chris knows about comedy and as long as he's been into it, the one thing he cannot grasp is trim the fucking fat.
Hey, I like to talk.
I do too. I do too. I also do. And you know what's crazy? The whole time I was listening to you guys talk about that, I was like, damn, I probably wasn't even like a sperm yet. Like that's, I don't need to make you guys feel
Yeah.
old.
How old are
but
you?
I'm 23.
That's why I
23,
said
yeah.
we're old as shit.
I was-
not even fucking.
Like it makes people feel the most old when I tell them that I was born in 2000. Like, because at least 1999, you still have the 19 in front to make it feel like it's in reach.
Right.
But then once it hits that 2000, it just feels like, oh God,
So you were born in 99.
no,
You were born in 2000.
yeah.
Yeah, oh well, it is what it is. See, but you got to
Sorry.
flip it around. Like, no, it don't make me feel old being around somebody that's 23. I'm just that cool that it doesn't even matter, bro.
doesn't.
There's like no age. I just learned the Riz. Karen taught me that shit the other day. So I was going to bring it up again, but it's too early for a
When you
call
said
back.
that, no, I while I was letting Chris just talk about remotes and stuff like that, I couldn't stop thinking about you saying you don't fuck with the Riz, dog. Like,
Yeah. I love hearing that new shit.
how old's your youngest again? 18, you said?
My youngest is 15.
15. Okay. Then maybe that checks out. You could say that and embarrass him pretty well.
Well, I heard it from Karen Schwartz. She hears that shit, I guess, from school, from kids and her daughters and shit.
Yeah.
So when I hear it elsewhere and then I bring it home, like I'll just say it to my wife, like she's corny. And then I look at my 15-year-old and he's like,
Why do
then
you?
he'll gang up on my wife and we'll like slap hands and hug and all that shit. Like,
Oh, that's awesome.
it turns into a thing.
No, anytime like one of my parents says something like that, I'm like, where did you hear that? Please never say that again.
Yeah.
But
But
that's
I
cool
saw-
that you're close with your 15-year-old that you can just like,
Yeah.
Outside of Soul Joel's, I saw grown ass. There were kids, I guess, still like, but maybe a little younger than Ronan, but they were all like from Pottstown area with, like, yo, no cap, son.
Yeah.
I'm gonna whatever the fuck.
Oh,
I'm saying.
all right.
Dude,
Watch. You're treading. Watch. Dude, trim the fat and let's get back to the interview.
Gen Z and Gen Alpha are gonna come after you if you start dissing the
Right.
the verbiage, the lingo.
Right.
Yeah, let's get back to the interview before Chris says something. I don't like editing, and you know that.
Do you Jay Yoder's material on like No Cap and
Yes,
Bet,
yes.
Right.
and,
That's funny.
is so well written.
It
is.
I love that stuff
Yeah.
because it's like I'm at the age where there's like now new stuff that like I'm completely out of touch with, but at least I still like was like know. And everybody knows that, but like everybody my age knows that, but you'll be in an audience and he'll be doing that bit, that joke, and there'll be people who like I've never heard of that,
Right.
Like I'm definitely feeling like I'm aging out of like popular trendy stuff anymore, and
Right.
especially because kids like run the internet. They're just like little demons that'll say anything to you, and they're ruthless. Like to how Gen Z was to millennials. Like Gen Z was like pew, 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 like at every minute.
Yeah.
And I'm just nervous. Like this Gen Alpha group is gonna like Gen Z is gonna become the new millennials at some point.
Hold on, they're looping back around like, how did we start at Gen X? Then we get, where's Gen Y? Is there a Gen Y?
Gen Y is millennials.
Oh.
They just renamed it to that.
And then there's Gen Z.
Yeah, which have been also called Zillennials, which has also become also called Zoomers.
I heard Zoomer.
So what the hell's next if they ran out? They
Gen Alpha.
jumped-
Well, that's what I
Gen
said.
Alpha.
They went back around to the beginning of the Greek alphabet.
Yeah.
But like, where was W and R and Gen S?
Yeah, why did we
Like,
start?
Did they
with,
do that and we never heard about it?
why did we
Or
start
did-
with Gen fucking?
Chris, that was the goddamn question.
I'm asking a tune.
That was so.
I'm
disgusting.
doubling down on
I'm
this.
so sorry.
Again, no hard feelings. I just yell at you for content.
It's fun.
That's all.
It's like it's a good time.
Yeah.
But no, seriously. Yeah. Put it in the comments.
They probably just put
Where's
Gen
the
X
button?
because everything was so extreme and we were just so rad.
Right.
That's what it was.
Yeah, that's when the X Games were invented.
Yeah.
So
Well,
maybe
because it went from
Because we were
boomers,
rad.
boomers is baby boomers.
right? Went
Yeah.
from boomers.
And then before that, it was the silent generation, which I don't know when that was
So
like
then from-
coined.
Before the
S-
boomers was the silent generation?
Yeah.
Yeah, I never heard that either, but it makes a lot of sense. And
Like it that feels like something that was like probably coined like retroactively, like way after the silent generation was like already like.
I know they called the greatest generation, like before the boomers,
Oh.
like the boomers' parents are the greatest generation, which may be the same as the silent generation.
I don't know.
Guess depends on where you're from.
Yeah, no, don't.
It'll be on the test for later, so we'll
Maybe.
need to study.
Depends on where you're from. If you're from a shitty area, it ain't the fucking. You're gonna call it the fucking what do they call it? The silent generation.
Yeah, I wish it would be silent for a couple minutes.
Not gonna happen.
Okay, so you were in California, Flappers. What were you doing out there? Were you a doorman or what were you doing?
I was on some days I would be like the sound, lighting, music guy.
Okay.
Where I would and then there would also be the screen that comes down before any sort of show there that was like, welcome to Flappers. The bathroom is out the door and on your left. Use the light on your table to signify that you want a server to come and take your order.
And that's word for word, probably.
Probably
It's very accurate. It is very it was somebody trying
probably
to
burning your brain.
it was somebody trying to talk in like that 1920s flapper
Right, yeah.
like BS.
That goofy
it was like
accent.
sort of British but like
Flappers.
not yeah.
I had some until.
What else? Hold on. Pause on your interview.
Yeah. No, of course.
What else? Flappers. What else?
Like it were either birds, like chicken, or fish, because they
What?
flap their gills and their wings.
Wait, they flap their gills.
Or fish.
You said they flap their
'Cause
gills?
well, it's California. So you're gonna have
guess.
fish because you're right next to the
I
ocean.
Yes, but you wouldn't say that that's like I wouldn't I my first word when I think of gills, the first like verb that I think of is not flapping.
No, not gills.
The fins?
Fin.
Oh.
But you said gills.
Did I say gills?
You said first of all,
Yeah.
I said fins. Rewind it.
even if you said fins, I feel like it's very very infrequently flapping your fins.
I'm just adding fish in for extra value,
Okay.
extra menu items.
Thanks.
But I think flappers like flap your wings like they were. It's chicken.
No,
or-
it was like a 1920s Great Gatsby themed comedy club.
Okay.
There were like
Anyway.
little skimpy 1920s dresses and feathers everywhere, and the people that worked there had to like either wear like some sort of colored shirt and black pants and like over like suspenders,
Okay.
or like you had to wear like a 1920s like something.
Right.
But what was the question again? What about flappers?
I asked
Oh,
you
what did I
there.
do? Yeah, so some days I would do that. I would be like audio, like the AV guy. Other days I would be in like their office, and I would be like editing clips for them for their TikTok and YouTube, and like uploading like 5-minute sets that we had access to like we were given access to, and like posting them on our on the channel.
Okay.
And then also, like, if there was a big like A-list celebrity who said the word Flappers or Flappers Comedy or something, excuse me, they would chop that up. They would have me chop that up so that they could get like a compilation of like everybody, all these like big guys like Bill Burr and Kevin Hart, like, and Fluffy, like mentioning like Flappers.
Right.
And then on other days I would get my hours from doing that class.
Nice.
Okay. That's cool.
You would actually get paid to do the class.
I did not get any money from working.
Oh, hours for.
They were for my credit hours, yeah.
Awesome.
Intern.
Gotcha.
Working.
But like you know, I was getting. All I had to do was show up to work, and I wouldn't get paid, but they would give me like a free meal every time I came in, and they
Good enough for me.
and yeah, and they would also, and, you know, they were also paying for like a. Not saying you should do this, but because, like, you know, don't need everybody. They only accepted like 2 people.
Right.
But also, I don't think that many people applied, so like it's whatever. But yeah, it like, and then they gave me a free comedy class. Like,
Right, yeah.
That's like, I'm well getting my money's worth.
Yeah, definitely. Just working there, the experience, like, it's priceless.
Beautiful thing.
Yeah. And then you worked out there for a little bit, and did you, once your school was over, was the internship at the club done, and you kind of came back to the East?
Yeah. Once that semester was over, the internship was over,
okay.
and then once, and then I came back home, and I was like, oh, maybe I want to move back out there, but I didn't have concrete enough plans, and like, I would, we talked about like having me work part-time for Flappers, like getting paid to work there, but that, I don't think, like, with the cost of living in LA, I wasn't gonna be working for the lowest wage they would be willing to give out when I already worked for 3 months, you know, doing the same stuff anyway.
Right.
But you know, like, so like now I'm getting paid more than I would, and I get to live with my parents. So it's a good, good
Beautiful
deal for me right now.
Great deal.
Do it as long as you can.
Absolutely.
Do it
Absolutely.
as long as you can.
Yeah, but yeah, it was basically like the internship ended in December. I took like a month off in January to, you know, apply a little bit to places and see what's open, and then I worked for Julf in February. Started working for
okay.
in February.
Well, I know your
shit.
dad is supportive of your work
Uh-huh.
because I've seen him. I think it's your dad
Yeah.
on Facebook.
Both my mom and my dad are very, very supportive. They try to make it to all my shows, or not all of them, but like the ones in close proximity.
I know you have a brother too.
I have 2 younger brothers.
Right.
One of them is at Cornell right now,
Oh, sweet.
and
Sweet.
is actually about to graduate in like a week.
Crazy.
Yeah, and the other one is in, what'd you say?
Congratulations.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
man.
thank you. Yeah, he already applied and got accepted to his master's in engineering too. So like,
Oh, nice.
he like,
Nice.
if you're wondering like who's the smart one in the family, like,
Right.
I went to film school. My youngest brother is doing music in Rochester.
Okay.
And this motherfucker is getting his engineering degree
degrees,
and
yeah.
master's from Cornell. Like, go fuck yourself.
At least you're probably the funny one, right?
Dude, both of them are so, like, I come from
both
a
funny.
funny ass family.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. It's rough. My brother's funny. My brother's probably funnier than I am.
Like,
My older brother's funny too, but
neither of them would get up on stage to do comedy, but like both of them, like, you could make an argument that they're faster on their feet than I am.
okay.
Because like I'm funny when I write all my stuff down, and like even my like crowd work bits, I think of sooner than I say them. I don't say them like right on the spot.
Right.
For example, there was a show I went to in Maryland, and there was these 6 people who all came, 12 people, 6 couples that were all wearing matching color clothing.
Shit.
So there was a couple that was both wearing pink, a couple that was both wearing purple, and they're like lined up in like color order too. And so I look at that and I'm like, oh, I know what I'm gonna say. And then at some point during my set, I like let it out as if I just came up with it. Boom.
Right.
Nope. Came up with that right before I went up. Like,
Nice, nice.
where was I going with this? Oh, they're funny. I come from a funny. Both my mom, my dad, my two brothers, my cousin that lived with us for a little bit during COVID because she needed somewhere to go. Funny as hell too.
All right, that's cool.
And they make fun of me that I'm not the funny one, despite me doing stand-up.
You're the stand-up, yeah.
But no, my younger two brothers love taking shots at me. It's awesome.
Oh well, that's what you're supposed to do.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
supposed to
yeah.
do that. But you damn, I have a question. But keep going. I thought I had something to say and then I lost it.
Is it about my family or my siblings or anything like that?
Possibly.
We somehow have avoided this entire time me talking about me being gay too.
What?
Which
You're
is,
gay.
huh? Which is funny too.
Well, no, we didn't. It's no need to like
Say it. Yeah. No, I 100% agree with you. I'm just saying, like, me talking out loud, usually it comes up sooner in conversation.
Oh, I gotcha. Well, my next question was going to be, what do your parents think about your comedy? And that may have
Drifted
led
into
to
yes.
that. But what do they think about your comedy?
Yeah, I mean, because it's very like gay heavy.
Yeah, I would say.
Yes. They're super supportive of me being gay.
Right, that's awesome.
Which is again super grateful for that.
But you're not being a comedian.
I had a joke I did like I think I did it like 3 times, maybe 2 times, where I would like say like, oh, I'm gay, surprise, and then a little bit later I'd be like, my dad's in the crowd, and I hate to put you on blast, Dad, but I was disappointed that you weren't super supportive of me when I came out as a comedian. It's such a stupid joke.
Hey, man.
It's such a
I remember how that was a good one.
but like, because it makes it sound like it's gonna be like a really like awkward joke, like, oh, I'm like calling out my dad for not being supportive of me.
Yeah.
But like even that's like not true. Like they've supported me throughout this whole thing.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And so, but yeah, it is very awkward. Like I've definitely cleaned up a lot of my material to host, because like a lot of like bookers don't love it when you're super vulgar or like especially if it's a cleaner comic later, or like, even if it's a dirty comic later and they don't want you talking about dirty stuff, it makes you more like flexible. And so I've been trying to like clean up a lot of my jokes, partially so I can get like booked more as a host, but also because a lot of my jokes are like, very sexual and very like, so sometimes it's I've for some crowds it's awesome. Like one of my favorite sets I've ever done, like the like afterwards I was like, that was the hottest I'd ever been, was literally when I hosted for the Dirty Show.
Okay.
Like I've done like big, some big shows before, especially
Dude, that crowd was awesome.
opening for Aunt Mary Pat. But like you for that, like for so many shows where like you don't know, none of the people who are coming for some comedians know who as long as if you're not a groupie, you don't know who the host is going to be.
Right. Yeah.
And so, they're going to find people who they already find funny, but like you got to like sort of prove yourself. Whereas, where was I going with this?
Dirty Show.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When you have a show like the Dirty Show, where the whole premise is like, it's dirty humor, and yet the whole audience is gonna be like locked in and like on board with that.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Right.
So you could say any dirty joke and for pretty like close to certain that it'll probably work. Like it has a higher chance of working than at like a regular show.
Right.
So I loved that set during
Well, you
the Dirty
did
Show.
great, man. You did a good job hosting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it was a good show.
it was a great
night.
show, man.
Yeah.
Everybody killed it. Everybody. We talked about this past couple times because
Yeah,
why not?
that's all we got, bro.
That's all we got. It's my first not open mic show. Killed it. It's all downhill from there.
Yeah.
No, I have to say, like that set, like you killed that set. You like I don't know what like I was expecting necessarily, but like open mic shows are so much more different than
It's
regular shows.
tough.
And it's so hard to like judge somebody on how they do it in open mic. Like I hate open mics. Not our open mic, obviously.
Right.
Ours is the exception.
Right.
No, but like,
Cut that.
We're gonna cut that.
but like, wait, why cut it?
I'm not cutting anything.
Okay. But like after like somebody goes up and I'm watching them and I'm like, you know, like it's a shame this is an open mic because I know like in a actual show you like that would kill.
Right.
And then it's the same thing when I go up. I come down and I'm like, man, that sucked. I know those jokes work, but like I that felt bad doing it. But like I think you surprised like everybody who was there, and I say that just I'm talking specifically about myself.
Appreciate that.
Because like I had seen you before during the 7 for 7s and sometimes late night laughs too.
Nah, I just did the 7 and 7 and the Dirty Show.
That's right. Like I had seen your material before in front of a live show, and I was like, so I sort of, but like I was just surprised, not surprised, but like it was like I was like finally, you know, I get to see this material that I've been hearing.
Too, because like I've been doing the same material. It's time to do it in front of like a different crowd.
That's what the open mic is.
Like when I posted
working a 5.
when we were in the speakeasy and I was hosting, I felt like I was like, I'm doing these old ass jokes because like thinking like to myself, well, I did that 5 minutes. I got all this other material. Let me try to start working that into a 5 minutes and get 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But I'm like
Working on that new 5 is like you're like starting from square one.
It's an old 5, but new, like old material that I stopped doing, and I'm trying to bring it back. But it's just as bad as new material trying to rework it because like it's just rough. But sometimes the open mic crowd is great. You never know.
Yeah.
You never know.
The open mic crowd is great when there's a lot of people who are not comedians.
Yeah.
Because performing for comics is like awful.
Right.
It's not awful, but like half of the people are focused on their own material that they're not even paying attention. The other half are like, know too much about comedy that it's less of like a ha ha ha, I'm going to laugh out loud because that was funny. It's more of like an internal, like, that was objectively funny. Like, that was good.
Or they're looking at their notebook or their phone, worried about their set.
Yeah.
And people are and Ronan actually put an end to, he was like, I'll give him credit, but it started to become a thing where people were like starting to become chatty during the open mic.
Oh my.
Oh yeah.
And you were like, yo, take it outside. I was like, oh shit,
That's
Ron,
right.
fucking stepping in, like,
Yeah.
and he's right.
Yeah.
Who did that?
You did.
I did. Yeah.
I was partly guilty, but it was like during the time I was talking about the guy who was like my friend's on heroin and I'm on it, and I'm like, I can't fucking deal with this again. This is like, I was like, this is terrible.
There's certain voices in there too that like I'm not gonna say names, but like
Oh, you can
even
hear.
when they're like trying to talk like quietly, their voices carry. And literally one of the headliners this past weekend, at Joel's place, like we were in the back of the room talking like, oh, when does she want the light? When does she want this? When does she want that? And but like, so I'm asking these questions and she's talking at like full volume.
Oh shit,
dude, this is like your own show.
Right?
Like,
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yeah. Pipe down, lady.
But yeah, so like people have to chill out when other comedians are up there, even if they're not what you would consider up to par comedians right now. Maybe they'll get better.
Yeah, whatever.
But like I would take this might be a hot take, but I would take a smaller show that's really focused over like a large show with a bunch of people who are not paying attention.
Yeah.
Like every time, because like small rooms, when they pay attention to you, you can get a gauge of like when the joke works and like get like better timing and read the room better. But when the whole room is like chatty and like
Yeah.
hearing stuff, especially in an echoey space like Sunnybrook,
Right.
it's just like it's so hard to gauge how you're like doing that it makes it so difficult.
All right.
Yeah. And at the open mic, you know, we got like 27, 25 to 30 comics sometimes. So everybody's friends and everybody's sitting in little patches and everybody's talking. But if you get just a handful of regular people sprinkled around, I think it kind of, because when they laugh, then I think it makes the comics laugh. Because laughter's like that. Like, I forget what it's called, but if I watch something up, start laughing, then you guys will start laughing too,
Yeah.
or vice versa. So I kind of think that kind of plays a little bit into the crowd. But I also think that, you know, it always comes to like, you always hear about advice, like what's good advice for an open micer, and it's always keep writing, keep getting on stage. But I think another part of that advice should be, if you get a couple of laughs, if you multiply that by whatever percentage, it'll do good in a regular crowd. Like you said about a regular room, a regular crowd is a lot different. So if somebody could come up with just a saying like to get what I'm trying to get out, just in a couple, like an elevator pitch, like it's not the same. Open mics aren't the same.
Without like audience members.
Yeah, like if you get
and-
a couple laughs at an open mic, that'll transgress into killing in a big room.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
And
or a regular room.
I've been talking with Gretchen Dietz, who's
Oh,
been coming to the mics
hilarious.
more frequently.
Yeah.
I've been talking with Gretchen a little bit, and I was talking about the fact that like she was telling me like there's all these open mics in the Philly area and like even in this area that are just like sad. And it's crazy because like even our open mic feels dead sometimes, but like she was like, this is so much more like energetic than like the other ones that like like just feel like soul sucking.
Right, right.
Obviously, I'm not her exact words, but also on the other hand of that though, it's so interesting to me how like the best compliments that you can get are from other comics because they're so few and far between. Like when another comedian like compliments you, specifically one who is even like a regular feature or even like a headliner,
Right.
it's like holy shit, like we don't do that frequently, like
Yeah.
like that. That's it's awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
that
open
is
like
awesome.
that's the one thing about like our crew, like everybody, even if you don't do well, people will still be like, yo, good set.
Yeah.
You did good, even though you in your brain you're like, no, dude, but thank you, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, it's fucking hard getting on stage. So
Fucking it is him right.
you know, if you put some effort into writing your jokes and you get up there and it might not be for everybody that night, you know.
But I always feel like as long as you didn't ask, if they came up to you and said something, then that's different than like, oh, how'd I do? And they got to be like, oh, you did good, kid. But if they come up to you like, yo, that was fucking fun, that's the best. And and I've said this a million times on the same note. I've gotten more compliments from strangers and other comedians I've gotten from my friends and family my entire fucking life.
Yeah, I hear you.
This fucking past year.
It's true.
They've never complimented me on shit.
Well, that's why you're all of that led you to being a comic. Now
That's
you're
right.
getting your kudos from strangers.
That's right.
You're like a chick that her father didn't love her, and she got to
Right.
go seek men seek out men for affection. That's what you do,
Fucking
just in
attention
comedy.
whore. My attention whore.
Yeah.
I think all comics are like have a praise kink. Like they
Oh, no
just
doubt.
get off on like any sort of like praise or any sort of like, oh, good job, like you did, like that's awesome.
And once again, I always tell this.
He
like,
does.
Go ahead.
I'll leave, and then I'll go. If I did, if we like the one time we had 70 people at the open,
Yeah.
and everybody kept telling me how these people were like pulling me aside, telling me how great I was, and this lady was like smiling at me the whole time. It was like the greatest thing. But then I realized, oh, I didn't hear anything from these people over here yet. So let me pretend to go back in, look for somebody. I look around like, oh, hey guys, good job.
Yep.
I had to get that extra little.
I love doing
sick,
that.
I'm sick.
I felt so bad. I feel so bad when we have
Talk
like a
about that
big
all the time.
staff.
I'm sorry. I know I talk about this all the time.
I feel so bad if we have like a big staff at Soul Joel's and I'm like watching them all clean up, but I was on the show and I haven't gotten enough compliments.
Right.
So I'll stand outside of the door and just be like, "Hey, see ya,"
Yeah.
and then the "Hey, see ya," they look, see me, and they're like, "Oh, you did a good job, thank you," and then I bust in my pants.
It's the best.
Clean up an aisle, my jeans,
Right.
and
Needs to happen.
After the Dirty Show, somebody was going around taking pictures with all of us. I think she took pictures of you guys. Too,
Yeah,
and put on her
yeah.
thing. I was just like, really? Like, okay. Like, okay.
like what?
But she everywhere she goes, she takes pictures of all the comedians. She goes.
cool.
She's a comedian. Her and her husband like go around like to like Atlantic City, to this place, and they take pictures. They're like, so to be included with that is cool because they're taking pictures with like Rich Voss type people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all. I prefer people like there are so many people who will just come to like the big names, but like people who are willing to come to like a Dirty Show or like a headliner of somebody who they've never heard of before and they've never heard their material.
Right.
Like, I love those types of comedy fans.
Right. Yeah.
Because I'm not one of those comedy fans. Like, I only buy tickets to shows that like I'm like, you know, like excited for the person I'm excited to go see.
Right. Yeah.
Like, it's just at a happenstance that I get to see all these amazing comics, like just working at Joel's place, who I never would have seen and never would have heard of before. And I'm like, man,
Yeah.
like it's such a shame that this person only sold like 20 or 30 tickets because like, you know, like I wouldn't have bought tickets, but like you're missing out if you're not seeing this person.
Yeah.
Well, like 30 years from now, you're gonna be like the Joel. Like
Yeah.
you'll have like grown up in the industry. Joel will take you under his wing, show you all the ropes.
Well, I love getting surprised by a comic you didn't hear of, you never heard of, and then you're like, oh my God, this guy's hilarious.
Yeah.
Like the first name that popped in my head was Mike Britt. He was in the Dome for the opening, I guess. It was like the Friends and Family thing. He may have been there the weekend after, but I seen him at the Friends and Family thing. He killed, dude. I don't know if it was an hour or 40 minutes or whatever, but he killed. And I had only ever heard his name. I'd never seen him stand up before.
Mike Britt.
And he killed the whole time, man. I was like so happy I went and got introduced to somebody new because I was like, I don't. Then later I tried to watch more shit he did, and I was like, now I'm a fan. You know, it was
Mike
pretty sweet.
Britt.
Yeah, it's crazy how frequently that happens for me. I remember before, like in 2021 when I was working for Joel, I was clueless about stand-up comedians at all. Like I knew so little. I watched so little. You know, I was like, you know, we had Kevin Nealon from SNL coming to Soul Joe's, and I was like, who's Kevin Nealon?
What?
You know,
You're young. You're young.
I wasn't alive during, or I might have been alive, but I wasn't like, you know, I didn't watch SNL during that time. So why would I have known of him?
Right.
If I, you know, hadn't gone out of my way to try to find different stand-up comedians, but like there were so many guys who like I, you know, like had never heard of before, and then instantly became a fan when I saw them live.
Right.
Like, like there's so many people like during concerts and stuff like that like, oh, I like this artist, but like seeing them live is like something different. Stand up and music is completely different, but it's one of those things like seeing like somebody do their set live and seeing like crowd work happen before your eyes is truly like a makes you appreciate somebody who you find funny, like
Right, yeah.
Well, like that's
Sure.
what Matt Rife, he does a lot of crowd work, but I think that's what people, unfortunately, with the way that people watch shit nowadays, like 2-second clips of everything.
Yeah, they associate him with doing crowd work,
But he doesn't do all crowd work. You just assume he does all crowd work because of the stupid TikToks. But he does an actual set.
There was a great video that I saw from him, that was a short video that he was performing at this theater, this massive theater, and this one woman just calls out, "Do crowd work," and he like went off on her a little bit. He joked around with her, but he was like, crowd work is a very small portion of my show, of my live show. Like that's the clips that I use on social media because that's what does well, and also I don't have to like spoil my material when I do that. Right. But like I have material, I have a show. I'm talking about like an actual topic, and you're like, you're ruining the vibe.
Right.
You're harshing the vibe. Don't harsh my vibe.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Chris, don't harsh my vibe.
I try not to. I'm a vibe harsher.
100% he's a vibe harsher.
I did not know that till now, but it makes sense.
Yeah, man. Yeah. All right, so you've been at Sojo's for a couple of years now. You're the event manager. You're hosting and climbing the comedy ladder, I guess, whatever it is. What's next for Ronan?
Oh, geez, that's such a complicated question. Because recently I've been getting, I mentioned this earlier, but I've been getting a lot of imposter syndrome about like doing stand up. Not like that I'm like bad necessarily, but that like I feel like would you know the phrase like nepo baby? Like a nepotism baby.
Oh, okay.
Right, yeah.
Like I feel like the fact that I'm like sort of close with Joel now has given me some like insane leverage on people who have been doing it way longer than me and I think are way better than me. The Drew Lynch show, for example. Like I've been doing stand up for like a year and a half, and I've been writing comedy arguably longer for when I was in school, but that was arguably comedy.
Right.
Like I feel like I'm at a position right now where I haven't put in the work to deserve this. So like it's really hard to think like, and I think very much so like in the present, like
right.
I think very much so like what's currently going on. I don't think much about the past. I don't think much about the future. So like the idea that like there is a what's next is like weird to even consider. Because people have asked me like, do you plan on like being a touring headlining comic? And I was and my immediate answer is no. How can I don't even have 45 minutes, and I can't imagine myself having 45 minutes right now.
Right, yeah.
It's like
takes a while, probably.
Yeah, it takes a while.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
just like Dylan, like you sound like kind of like him. Like he's like, yeah, I work for Joel, so he hooks me up with shows. I'm like, but it's not just because you work for Joel doesn't mean like he's automatically just gonna give you shows. Like you put the work in, and not only did you put the work in, when you work with Joel on whatever area, Dylan does his thing, you do your thing. That's extra time where like you're watching comedians, you're getting the idea of the business. So you're putting extra work in Joel's. I feel like Joel like appreciates that. And it's not like you're pushing anybody else out of the way. You put the work in.
Yeah.
Yeah, but laughs don't lie.
True. And that's the other thing, yeah.
At the end of the day, if it was crickets,
like, yeah.
it would it wouldn't have worked out. So
Yeah.
it's not crickets. The laughs don't lie. You're getting laughs.
He wouldn't keep putting you on if he was like, if you sucked.
Yeah. Yeah. No, thank you. I appreciate that. See, and that's how you fish for validation. No.
Good job.
Dude, my boner is like hard as no. But
that imposter syndrome shit. The day of the Dirty Show, he was up at 7:00 in the morning,
yeah,
thinking about his set.
I don't doubt it.
He was like, "I'm not doing it. I'm gonna say I have COVID, and I can't do it."
Dude, thank God you did it, dude. Holy shit.
But it was the same thing. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not funny, and I understand. I'm the same way. I'm not funny, but it's the same way. Like, and I hear big comics talk about that.
Yeah, yeah.
They have that too.
And I think it's one of those things like you almost like you're obligated to go through as a comedian or like as a stand-up, because like it's not you don't get like immediate success. Like nothing about this is immediate.
Right.
Like if you're doing stand-up, you're in it for the long haul.
Yeah.
You only really like there are people who have been doing it for 10 years, 15 years who are still like, yeah, I'm new at stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
Like
They still stop at open mics. Like, it's just part of the routine.
Norm Macdonald said he ain't a good comedian unless you got 20 years. So like, shit.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's such a grind, and not getting that immediate validation every single time is like exhausting.
I bet.
And not saying like, oh, we're better than like people who are in the military or something like that. We're doing actual jobs.
Right.
Like we ain't shit yet. But it's like very emotionally like charged. You gotta, I recognize I'm not alone, but it doesn't make the imposter syndrome like go away.
Right. Yeah.
But to circle back around, you have stuff planned coming up until almost maybe into January, right? You got shit in January coming up too, right? So you already got shit coming into the new year. Mm-hmm. You're gonna keep doing.
Oh yeah.
So what's next for Ronan?
What's next for me?
Maybe your own. Maybe those talks of maybe one day having your own production.
Yeah. I will say there is something in the works about that. About me producing my own show.
Okay. Nice.
Which is exciting.
Sneak preview. Nothing,
Yeah, nothing too crazy. There's no name for it yet. There's no people booked for it, but that's
something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Check his socials.
Yeah, check out his social media for his tentative show that's coming up, and then you have some shows. Again, we'll go through that. December 22nd, Ronan's hosting The Dirty Show with Brendan Donegan, and that is also going to be having Rashid Wesley Jr., Karen Schwartz, and Walker Britt. And then December 23rd, Robin's Nest in Mount Holly, New Jersey. And you are hosting for, sorry, I forgot.
Anthony Moore.
Anthony Moore.
Nice.
All right, and then check his socials. What's your social again?
At Ronan Mayock on everything.
At Ronan Mayock on everything. All right, thanks for stopping by, man. We appreciate it.
No problem, dude.
All right, and we'll see you up at the Soul Joel's.
Nice.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks.
All right.